are two types of maintenance that can be received following a divorce: spousal maintenance, also referred to as periodical payments, and where there are children, child maintenance. Child maintenance is statutory and the level is determined by the Child Maintenance Act. The government has an online calculator at www.cmoptions.co.uk, which is easy to use to obtain this calculation. By contrast, however, there is no precise calculator or formula for spousal maintenance. If there is one subject that causes the most controversy in agreeing financial arrangements as part of a divorce, I have to say it is perhaps the matter of spousal maintenance. Spousal maintenance is a payment that's paid by a spouse to their former spouse as part of their divorce. Usually it is paid every month and it can last for either a defined period or, in increasingly rare cases, for the rest of your former spouse's life. The latter is known as a joint lives order. When it comes to calculating spousal maintenance, there is no set formula to follow. The amount to be paid and its duration is determined either by the couple or by the court after considering the circumstances and both parties' reasonable budgets moving forward. The level of maintenance is determined by considering the daily financial commitments of both parties, as well as any child maintenance obligations, if they apply, and then to determine how they can be met with the resources available to the party who will be responsible for paying the spousal maintenance. It is understood that after a divorce, some degree of budgeting and adapting to a reduction in lifestyle may be required from both sides. But if there is a substantial shortfall on one side's reasonable budget and a surplus on the other side, then it is likely that spousal maintenance would come into play. It is, of course, possible to try and agree maintenance with your spouse, as opposed to making an application to court for this question to be determined. If, however, matters cannot be agreed, or in circumstances where an application is necessary, the court can be invited to determine the question of spousal maintenance on your behalf. Spousal maintenance will last for as long as both parties agree it is required, and in the absence of agreement, by a court order. Spousal maintenance will be terminated if the recipient of the maintenance gets married again or enters into a civil partnership. It also ceases if either party passes away. Spousal maintenance will usually be paid until the spouse can either support themselves or their financial needs are reduced. For example, when the children finish school or university or they leave home. Spousal maintenance payments are not fixed or guaranteed. A change in circumstance can cause the spousal maintenance to be either varied or dismissed by the court. For example, if you were to cohabit with a new partner, receive a lump sum, that means you can now support yourself. Or if the person paying loses their job or becomes ill. There can be many circumstances where a change in the payment is either agreed or ordered by the court. If you have a financial order in place and your former spouse just simply refuses to pay, then you can have this order enforced through the courts. Spousal maintenance will automatically be terminated if the recipient gets married again or if either of the parties passes away. Once spousal maintenance has been established, the payer cannot just stop the payments until the agreed period of maintenance payments is over. What you can do instead is try to mediate with the other party if your circumstances have changed. If you cannot agree, you can apply to the court so the maintenance amount is reduced, or you can have the spousal maintenance terminated if there's an adverse change in financial circumstances on your part, or if the recipient's financial circumstances have improved. But remember, there is no guarantee, and the court will have to agree with you To terminate spousal maintenance, the court will consider whether the recipient can make do without the maintenance and avoid undue hardship. Either of the parties involved can apply to the court and vary the spousal maintenance to reduce or increase the amount, but this can only be done if their circumstances have changed. For instance, the paying party's income may have reduced, and the recipient's financial needs may have changed, or their income may have increased, so they don't need as much maintenance as before. Also, at any moment, either party can apply to the court to have the maintenance capitalised. This means that the payer makes a lump sum payment instead of paying on a monthly basis. This would usually be done if the payer receives a large sum of money, for example, an inheritance, windfall, or if they sell a business. Both parties have the obligation to inform the other person of any significant change in circumstance of financial needs and should give as much notice as possible to any change. If the recipient of spousal maintenance has a job, whether you should still pay the spousal maintenance depends on the circumstances. If the recipient has found a job that allows them to cover their needs, spousal maintenance may be terminated. Another possibility is getting the maintenance reduced or terminated by applying to the court, which will determine whether the receiving party would be able to adjust again without experiencing undue hardship. If the recipient of the spousal maintenance is cohabiting with a new partner, it doesn't cause the spousal maintenance to end. Cohabitation is more uncertain than marriage, and people who cohabit can't make the same financial claims against one another if the relationship ends. Though cohabitation won't cause the spousal maintenance to automatically end, it may be appropriate to get it reduced, and you can apply for mediation and ultimately to the court to end it. But you should seek legal advice before you decide to take such action. In England and Wales, spousal maintenance automatically ends on the remarriage of the person receiving the maintenance. If you lose your job and it's impossible for you to pay spousal maintenance, you should reach out to the recipient so you can come to some agreement. In some cases, it may be necessary to apply to the court to get the spousal maintenance suspended for as long as you are unemployed. If you find alternative employment with a lower or higher salary, either party can apply to the court to get the existing order varied.